Hi, my name is Kate Madden, and in today's video I want to talk about 5 things that I've experienced in my transition from being assigned male at birth to living my full authentic life as a woman. If that's something you're interested in hearing, stick around and let's get at it. You know, I think there's a lot really to talk about in a video like this, and I could probably go for a long time because there's so much to learn and everything is new. And I think one of the fun things about this whole thing is you get to figure that out and you get to find what works for you and what doesn't. You get to rebuild your life in a whole new way, and you know, the things that add value, the things that affirm you and really give you that sense of self-realization, self-actualization. Like, it's an awesome feeling. But you know, these are just some kind of quick thoughts that I wanted to go over, and you know, just kind of starting with the low-hanging fruit, and that would be clothing. Like, I'm not sure who decides how to size my clothes now, but I have clothes in my closet that go from small to XXL, and they fit the same. And I learned the mistake early on when I was at a store. I was rushed for time, and I saw this top that I really liked, and I grabbed it, and it was an XL. And when I put it on, like, it would barely go over my head, and I couldn't figure that out. And so yeah, like, the sizes are all different, and you have to try your clothes on. There's no way around it. Personally, you know, just a tip, one of the things that I've really tried to do is, like, the first few times I went shopping, like TJ Maxx, Winners, you know, the Bay, like, I spent a lot of money and on clothing that I didn't really wear a lot, because I was still really trying to figure out my style, my sense of what made me comfortable, what I liked. And so, you know, after I think the 3rd time of doing this and just getting 1 or 2 items, I started going to Goodwill and Value Village and Salvation Army and that sort of thing. And what I found was that for, you know, $25, $30, I could grab 3 or 4 items, figure it out, throw it in my wardrobe, try it out at work a few times, out, you know, at the bar or whatever, out with friends. And if I felt comfortable, if I liked it, if I wore it more than a few times, I kept it. And if I didn't, I would just redonate it. And it gave me a lot of leeway in terms of being able to figure out style and fashion, what I enjoyed. I kind of had a thing for polka dots. Like, I think more than anything, polka dots. It would be my pattern of choice for sure. But yeah, like, that's just a tip that I would throw in there. Pockets, like, I've come to love purses because my pockets are almost non-existent, really, like, even in jeans. And I learned this the hard way early on with a blazer, where I had my cell phone in the blazer, and I was just going to the washroom. That's all I was doing. And even just that, like, just that movement, because the phone was only like halfway in the pocket, because that's how big the pocket was. It fell out, hit the toilet, and there we go. And I'd only had the phone like a month at the time, so oops. But yeah, so purses, I've really only got 2 purses that I go back and forth from, a crossbody one, and then I have a large one that I would put my laptop in for work and papers and that sort of thing. Bathroom, speaking of phones, you know, I don't know a single dude who doesn't go to the bathroom with their phone. Like, I did it, and you know, I would hear from my former partner how gross that was all the time. And she's not wrong. But what happened, you know, early on was that I was taking my phone to the washroom, and on 2 separate times in 2 separate locations, I got a knock on the door. "Hey, hon, are you okay?" Do you need anything? Is everything all right? You've been in there a while. And, so yeah, what I've learned about the washrooms is that like you're in and you're out, and that's it. Unless you're having a conversation at the sink, like it's a social thing, and you go together sometimes, and or you just strike up a conversation with somebody, or somebody strikes up a conversation. I'm very unlikely to do that. I'm super self-conscious in the washroom, and still trying to work through just my confidence there. But yeah, you're in and out, and don't bring your phone, because you're gonna get a knock on the door. So about a year ago, I went for dinner. I think a year ago today, maybe. I went for dinner with an old friend of mine. We've been friends since we were 14. He was in town, and so we went for a nice dinner in a safe part of town. But after dinner, we said our goodbyes, hugged, and that was great. And we went our separate ways outside the restaurant. And I didn't think to ask my friend, to walk me to the car. And why would I ask my, friend of 30 years to walk me to the car? And as I heard my heels, echoing off the buildings on the empty street at, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, I felt super vulnerable in a way that I had never felt before. I wouldn't be able to run. I was drawing attention to myself with the sound. I was dressed nicely, like I had a really nice dress on. At least I thought I was dressed nicely. So safety is something that I've really come to understand on a very kind of base level, like just, in terms of your hierarchy of needs. Like, I won't go somewhere where I don't feel safe. Or I'll ask a friend, or, if I'm out with my brother, like, I was with my youngest brother, and we were out till like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I made him go very far out of his way to walk me back to our other brother's place, because there was no way I was doing that on my own. And I can get hurt now. I could get hurt before, for sure, but the chances were pretty slim, and, I just had to puff my chest out, and I was 70 pounds bigger, and my arms were twice the size as they are now. Like, muscle atrophy happens with HRT, just FYI. So I could, if I needed to, take care of myself. Not to say I ever went looking for trouble, but I find that my brain still thinks I have that strength. Like, even just carrying a 25-pound bag of kitty litter up, I live on the second floor of a walk-up apartment building, like, that winded me, and was hard. And I was assaulted a few months ago. I think I did a video on that, I can't remember now, but I was assaulted, and certainly posted it all over social media, and I was terrified in that moment, because I knew I couldn't defend myself. So safety is something I certainly am aware of now. And I think about maybe 8-9 months into the hormones, I began to notice men whom I had been bigger than before. I noticed it in their shoulders and their chest, and maybe I just like that in a guy, but I noticed it in the shoulders and the chest. They were a lot bigger than me at that point, and I was working out regularly at that time as well, and doing shoulder exercises, which kind of leads me into my fourth point about physical autonomy. And as a trans person, at least where I live, you abdicate that. You have no physical autonomy. Like, I need to go see a psychiatrist to confirm that I am in fact sane, because what sane person does this? I guess I don't know, but physical autonomy is certainly something that I am aware of. Like, when you're out in public, people will touch you and they'll move you out of the way. Like, in the small of your back, they'll push you, they'll guide you. consent is something, another thing, like guys think they can, slap your ass, grab your ass, or catcall you. Walking down the street last night, and a couple of guys were honking and hollering out of their car, which is, I suppose, flattering at a certain level, but at the same point, I was just going to meet a friend, and it was cold, and I didn't think I was dressed at all. Like, I was just going out to meet a friend. But yeah, like, you lose that physical autonomy. It's perhaps part of the safety. And maybe I recognize this, with my fifth point, is privilege. Like, I can't, like, I can say I've lost a lot of privilege, which I certainly have. Transition will cost you a lot. But there's a confidence that I think comes from, being coded in that mediocre white guy way of life that is hard to remove entirely. And I think I hear that sometimes, like, one of the words that a lot of people use to describe me now is confident. And it wasn't that I was not confident prior to transition. Like, I can get up on stage and I can speak extemporaneously to dozens and dozens of people. That's not an issue for me, like, to put myself out there or make myself vulnerable. But I just found it interesting that it probably wasn't a word that people would have used about me prior to transition, but now they do. It's an interesting thing to note, and it just makes me wonder if maybe it's because I haven't really, in my head, sacrificed enough privilege, which is strange because, like, really, I belong to one of the most marginalized groups in the world. A week where 3 trans women in the States were murdered, and it's something that I'm still trying to work through and still trying to understand, both in myself and in how society, that cisgender, heteronormative world, receives me. Privilege, is there, and like, and really all privilege is just those unearned social benefits. And I think one of the most powerful things I've learned is to recognize the privilege that I do have, and how to use that to create space for others. It's made me a lot more compassionate and understanding, and realizing that there's a lot of people out there who might have barriers that really I can't see because of that privilege or that lack of privilege. And something I've done a lot of reading on, and I'm grateful to a few of my friends in my queer journey early on who kind of introduced me to this concept, was intersectionality, and just where those points of oppression meet. And it's not about being politically correct, and like some people might think that, and I do struggle with some trans girls, especially trans girls online. They're typically older. They haven't gone full time yet. They haven't even maybe started hormones yet. And it's not to say that you need to do these things to be trans. Like, I'm not trying to invalidate them being trans. What I'm saying is that when I read some stuff that people post or share, it smacks of privilege, and it smacks of a privilege that they haven't lost yet. And that transition does come at a cost. And I think when you pay that price, or when you start to pay that price, because it is ongoing, you begin to recognize the lack of privilege in others and just become more compassionate. And I think if you substitute compassion for political correctness, it might change your view a little. So, just a few thoughts I've had here about some of the differences, low-hanging fruit, quick thoughts. the differences between, my life prior to transition, being assigned male at birth, and my life now. I think a bonus thought I'll throw in here, number 6. One of the things that I've really kind of struggled with and noticed is that women are mean to each other, and they can be really catty. And they were conversations I was never exposed to prior. So you're sitting at a table and somebody gets up and other people start talking about them. And it's at this volume where it's just above a whisper, and it's enough for you to hear, like those sitting at the table. But then it's just quiet enough so that the person who is technically still within earshot can't. It's never flattering. And so, if you find yourself at those tables with those people, it might be worth it to find another table. And I'm grateful to the women that I've met in my life, the cisgender women in my life, who have showed me that, with their compassion, their support, their understanding, and, their love. And so thank you to all those wonderful women in my life who don't do that. And anyhow, so, those are some tips. I hope you found value or something interesting in watching this. If you have, please consider subscribing. Almost 80% of my views come from non-subscribers. Maybe hit that notification button, and thanks for watching. Here's to life.